An interesting phenomenon is that, you know, a lot of things, like, I'm sure have been figured out by insiders, but it takes an outsider to duplicate it, to make it public, I think. Like, potentially this is what's going to happen. And in particular, like, you know, seeing, hearing, and sending thought, not until an outsider does it and somehow puts it on the web and reaches the public with their videos, is it finally... Are the insiders finally going to do the right thing, you know, and slowly, only when they're going to be extracted through, you know, the public's finally waking up. The public's been asleep for 100 years, you know, if not longer. Especially when you consider religion, they've been completely without a sense of logic. But also, so it is with the walking robots. You know, walking robots were probably invented in the 50s, you know. I mean, seeing, hearing, and sending thought was the early 1900s. I mean, 100 years ago. They're looking at a 100-year centennial of seeing eyes, you know, in 2010, in 3 short years. And, but what else? Also, so it is with the corpuscular theory of light. Of course they figured that out. They had to have figured that out years ago. And, you know, so it takes an outsider to go back and you know, figure it out again and do the work independently and prove all of the things, reflection and polarization and double refraction and just single refraction and all this stuff. You have to show how it's all possible through the corpuscular theory, even though they did this in the 40s or something. They figured this out in the 50s, but for some bizarre reason they kept it secret. I mean, what's the reason behind that? I mean, it's a theory of science. That's the thing that makes me wonder. Like, you're trying to tell me the insiders did not figure it out? You know, the corpuscular interpretation? I find that hard to believe. I mean, but I think it's evidence that even an insider with access to exquisite information, even to people's minds, and the most advanced science that could ever exist, even secret science, couldn't figure it out, didn't figure it out. I mean, just, you know, just dumb. So, you know, that's what it takes is, you know, an outsider. And then that doesn't even count how the insiders might potentially go and then, you know, finally include the outsider, you know, after it's like, you know, they have no choice because the outsider is going public with all that they've learned, you know, and you know, they finally fucking pull themselves up out of the mud and you know, crude existence that they have, the savage existence they have, to be even remotely human, only because they have to. And hopefully those outsiders are like, nah, fuck you. Fuck you, we're gonna expose your ass to the fullest extent. I've been outside this long, why would I give a shit? And they'll have all kinds of incentives, like, look at all these, you know, hot insider women all waiting, you know, ready to hook up with you, you know. You know, they would sell out in an instant probably if they took a look at, you know, how they could hook up and, you know, have a nice family and then hear people around them, hear the thoughts of people around them. It's just amazing. But these people will not do anything. It's just amazing. Like, no, not one person has approached me at all, and I've been exposing the shit out of them. Apparently, just the public doesn't get it. The outsiders don't know they're outsiders. I mean, you have to imagine it. Can you imagine somebody that can't see and hear video in their eyes somehow thinking that the people that are around them, some people around them, can and regularly see video from inside people's houses? You know, I mean, it's too far to believe. It's too much for a person to believe. It's too unbelievable. But I'm just like, you know, I just hope that they have the tiniest amount of doubt to start voting and saying, okay, look, let's vote as if it were true, even though, you know, I don't personally believe it myself. But if it were, you know, let's vote. The first thing we'd have to do is say, hey, we need to see what our government is doing. We need to end the copyright. We need to end, you know, locking people in jail for information, you know, crimes and so on. We need to take a look at the phone company. We need to be electing full free information people who are not only just saying that they're for free information, but have actual legislation to that effect. You know, they're for full democracy too. All those things are stuff that are going to eventually, maybe in 100, 300 years. I mean, it's interesting to try and estimate when this stuff will go public, seeing and hearing thought. And, you know, I think I made an initial guess of 100 years from now. I mean, I'll be long dead when finally the public does get to see, you know. But I think it could be even longer. Could be 300 years. Could be 500 years. Could be 1,000. You know, I would have to say 1,000 years is the outside. I don't think it could possibly go more than 1,000 years. But, you know, you're talking about one person who's figured out and is telling the public. One person out of 6 billion. I mean, that is pathetic.